box plots. Now we're going to deal with histograms and stem-and-leaf plots. So first thing, with a histogram, the fancy way to say it is a one-variable data display that uses bins to show the distribution of values in a data set. Well, what it really is, it's a bar graph with intervals. That's kind of the main thing. So just remember that instead. It's really just a bar graph with intervals. And so I'm about to show you two different histograms. They both contain the exact same data. And what I want you to do is when I show this, I want you to pause the video for, whatever, 10 to 30 seconds and see if you can find the difference. So take a look at these two. Pocket money. It says the amount of pocket money is on the bottom and the number of students is on the side. This is the exact same data. So go ahead and pause the video, see if you can find the difference between the two graphs. All right, we'll see if you notice. The only difference is it's the exact same data, but on our x-axis here, our bins are intervals. So our intervals are on our x-axis here. Our intervals have a scale of 2 here. So in this bin, that's from 0 to 2. In this bin, that's from 2 to 4, so on and so forth. Whereas in the other graph, our bins are only 0.5 as wide. So this is from 0 to 0.5. Our next bin is from 0.5 to 1. Our next bin, right, 0.5 more, so 1 to 1.5. Are we seeing that? So our first graph, this counted by 2s. Our second graph, it counted by 0.5s. And so how that affects that, let's take a look. So for example, in our first graph, you see how it says there were 6 students that had pocket money from 0 to $2. So there were 6 students that had anywhere in there, right? One of the students could have 50 cents, another student could have had $1.20, another student could have had exactly $2. But there were 6 different or the same amounts all from 0 to $2. Whereas if I look at this other graph, where would those 6 students exist? Well, they'd exist, there'd be the 2 students in this bin from 0.5 to $1, right, in their pocket. There'd be 3 students in this bin and 1 student in that bin. So this is the exact same as this bin over here, except it gets separated up. So now I can tell even further that, 2 of the 6 students originally had between 50 cents and $1. Okay, where 3 of the 6 students that I originally looked at had from $1 to $1.50, and 1 of them had from $1.50 to $2. Okay, so if your intervals are smaller, you might be able to tell more about your data. Okay, so creating a proper interval is very important, and it's really good to be able to tell what that interval does and how it works. So a quick intro on stem-and-leaf plots. Hopefully we've done this in the past, but it's a display to show the distribution of a small set of data, and it kind of puts it in a nice organized manner. The biggest thing is knowing how to read your stem-and-leaf plot. So the first thing you should look for is the key and the title. So the title right here says the amount of money in your pocket. So that's, okay, we're dealing with money. And then down here, the key, it basically says where you see the 3 on the left side of the bar, which is right here, and the 05 on the right side of the bar, which is right here, that really means $3.05. So that means everything else is based off of that. So let's say I wanted to look at something in the 2 column. So I got 2, what if I grab one of these 50s? What would that represent? Yeah, $2.50. Okay, so the key is important, and then the same with the title, so you know what you're talking about. And I can do all kinds of things with the stem-and-leaf plot. I could find, our measures of central tendency. I could find like the mean, median, and mode. I could find our 5-number summary. There's all kinds of things I could do with this data. It's almost like a dot plot, but it represents it in a different way, a more visual way. Okay? So if you have any questions on how this works, make sure you ask me tomorrow. Otherwise, hopefully this is some review for you. All right, so let's actually take a look at a histogram and make some observations from it. This is the most important thing, able to read a graph. So it says the owner of an independent record shop monitored CD sales over a period of days. This histogram shows the results. So for A, it says find the total number of days included in this data set. Well, let's see, where are my number of days at? Okay, it's right here, it's on the y-axis, the number of days. The total number. Well, I gotta figure out how much is in each box. So it looks like this first bin I have 2 days, the next bin I have 3, then 1, and then 4, and 5, and 3, and 2, and 6, and 2. And what should I do with all those numbers? You guessed it, add them up, right? So I have 2 plus 3 is 5, 6, 10, 15, 18, 20, 26, 28 total days. So they found the CD sales from 28 total days. Okay, what about B? It says, for how many days were fewer than 20 CDs sold? Well, let's go find our 20 CDs. So number of CDs sold is down on the x-axis. So here's 20 CDs sold. For how many total days were fewer than 20 CDs? Well, here's fewer, right? There were 3 days when it was between 10 and 20. And then there were 2 days when they sold between 0 and 10 CDs. So a total of how many days? 5 days. Okay, so you just really have to look closely at these graphs. Look at the titles. Look at the data. Okay, and really make sense of it. Let's go to C here. It says, for how many days were at least 50, but fewer than 80 CDs sold? So at least 50. So where's my 50? 50 is right here. So at least 50, right? But fewer than 80. So where's my 80? Right here. So there's all the days. So there were 3 days from 50 to 60, 2 from 60 to 70, and 6 from 70 to 80. So I add all those together. So we have 11 total days. So hopefully you're catching on. And D, lastly, says, explain the empty 80 to 90 interval. What does that mean? There's nothing there. So that means there was what? 0 what? Look at your label. 0 days. There were 0 days when how many CDs were sold? Well, that interval represents what? 80 to 90 CDs sold. So no days existed when they sold in between that amount. Okay? So make sure, if you're one of those that just struggles reading graphs, that's totally okay. Just make sure you ask questions, right? So I can kind of help you out as we go.